So, hi everyone, welcome to today's office hour where we have Shreyan with us, who has been working on a custom connector and is actually in the process of getting it certified. So, we thought of bringing him on board just for him to share his experience and for you to also ask the many questions you might have with regard to what you expect, how the experience is like. So, I will just welcome him, not to take too much of his time, to just get started. But again, in case of any questions, you can always put them on chat and we'll be able to address them. So Shreyan, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Yulia. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Shreyan and I'm from India. So I'm currently a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and I have previous experience of working in startups as well. And I love to take part in hackathons. Like that is one of the things that where I started my journey from. So my first hackathon was again with Microsoft. So I've won a couple of hackathons at national and international levels, and I'm MTA certified as well. And I do write the work that I do in the form of blogs, and I love to share it with people across the world. And my areas of interest lie in artificial intelligence, blockchain, DevOps, web dev, AR, cloud computing, IoT, and robotics. So you can follow me on LinkedIn. That's my LinkedIn ID. It's the Shreyan Fernandes. And then if you want to look at my work, then that's my GitHub repo. And then if you want to read a couple of my blogs that I've already published, so that's on dev.to, Shreyan 1999. So before moving on to today's topic, so let's just see. We are actually building a connector, right? So, what was the motive that where did I actually start from? Why how did this idea actually come to me? So actually, I actually work on blockchain a lot, and I've been working on that from the past 2.5 years. But there was one thing that was actually always bothering me. Like there's a lot of code that I have to do, and if I have to change my blockchain, if I have to change the blockchain that I'm working on, in that case, I will have to learn that new language, master it, and then write the code. So I wanted to do something on a low code. Now, blockchain is actually very huge, right? There are a lot of applications, but I wanted to work on something related to NFTs. So NFTs again are the non-fungible tokens. I'll just give a brief introduction of what all these terms are in the next slide. But the motivation to build this connector came from a real world incident. So the first incident which says is like there have been this data breaches across the globe, especially when comes to healthcare, and even piracy is taking its turn across the globe, right? So 61 million Fitbit users and Apple users had their data breached, and then the company had to pay a huge cost for that. And not just that, when it came to a budding artist in India, his tone was copied and used in a movie, and he had no clue about it, right? So that feels bad for an artist. Not just this artist, I believe there are a lot of artists across the globe who have faced this particular what do you say, trauma, right? So this is something that their art piece is being stolen digitally. So how can we actually control? This is where I started from, right? This was the basic ground zero thing. So actually I got a motive to build a connector. No, now why did I decide to build a connector, right? You guys can ask me, hey Shen, this problem can be done with many other things, right? Why did you choose to build a connector? So coming back to that, so Microsoft Power Platform has always intrigued me with its low code feature. So one of the thing that I enjoy is coding, but at the same time it's really frustrating. So keeping this in mind, I thought, why not build a connector around this and remove the whole coding criteria? Because I know how hard it is to code for a blockchain related application, right? So I can just remove all the application. I can make people access this feature, solve this particular problem in just fraction of seconds using the Microsoft Power Platform. That's when I decided, so okay, fine, I'll go by building this. I'll go ahead and build my solution using Power Platform. But again, when I was searching through the Power Platforms, what do you say, the a whole catalog, I couldn't find a valid connector that would serve my cause here. So that was somewhere I didn't know much about connectors. I was absolutely a newbie here, and I didn't know how exactly to do things. And that's when I decided, okay, fine, let me just go ahead and see how to build a connector. I was just exploring options because again, when it comes to blockchain, this particular area is very much you know, closer to the myths. You know, there are a lot of myths here saying that okay, this is just about Bitcoin, it's only about cryptocurrency, and so on and so forth, right? And then there comes, you know, it is something, you know, which we cannot do. It's very complex, and a lot of other myths. Yeah, there are a lot. So firstly, first myth is blockchain is never equal to Bitcoin. It is a lot more than that. And then blocks from this database, and then cryptographically they are linked together. And then finally they are stored as you can see in this picture over here, right? There's an NFT which is stored on a blockchain. So this is the graphical visualization of all those things. So this is how the whole thing began. So I had this theory in mind of what blockchain is, how things work there. I knew that very well. And then I had this thing, okay, I can wrap it around, you know, the API can be wrapped around and given to the users in this way. So it will not just help me, but it will help the users across the globe. So that is where I started from. This was the base zero. I just combined my theory and I combined the power of Microsoft Power Platform here, which actually gives me the low code interface. So I thought, why cannot I combine these two and not just help myself, but help others as well across the globe? So that's when I thought, okay, let me just do this thing. I'll just build a NFT connector. So that is where the idea started from. And yes, the connector that I am building right now deals across the NFT thing. So you can mint your own NFTs in no time. So I guess you guys must be aware of this. What's the connector architecture, how it works, and all those things. So this is the same architecture that I use to understand, okay, this is how connector works, this is how things are, and this is how it should be. Of course, the journey was not really smooth because there were a lot of blockers in between, which I'll be addressing in some time, a couple of blockers that I had during this journey. So this journey took a longer time than I expected. So again, if we have to see an analogy of what blockchain is, this is how I compared it with trains, and then I just understood myself. So without further delay, I'll not bore you with much presentation. So let's just jump in directly into the connector. So this is the Power Platform application that you guys must be familiar with already by now. So I'll just go to the NFT, the thing that I've created. So this is a basic connector that I started. So again, while building options for a connector, you must be knowing that there are a lot of options available, right? You can build it from a Postman collection. You can do it from scratch. You can use open API definition, so on and so forth. So initially, what I thought, I'll just look out for a connector. So the API, right? The API is the base thing where your connector starts. So I just started looking out for the available API. So initially I wanted to work on a free quota. So I was just like, okay, fine, let me just find a free quota somewhere that will help me out in this process. So that's where again the research began. So that was where the ground one started. So I started searching out for that particular API that I wanted. So I searched a lot of APIs on the internet. So there was engine which actually I think you must be aware of this Azure Heroes badges, right? So they are also NFTs, that they are also distributed like your tokens for you guys. So I thought, okay, let me go ahead and use engine. I can just showcase that as a use case for Microsoft. But then again, there were some issues with that. So I was like, for a beginner, it felt very much at that time. So I wanted a beginner friendly experience here as well. So that's when I came across this thing, the NFT port. So this is the connector that will be available in a couple of days from now on. So NFT port is something that I'm using. So these are the guys who are providing me with their infrastructure, right? They manage the servers and all those things. So you can see the billing, subscriptions, and all the other things. What are the logs that I've done so far? I've just minted one on this, but there's another account where I've exhausted all my quota, and if I have to do more on that, then I have to pay them some money for that. So as you can see, the NFTs that I've minted is just one. So I know when I say NFTs, it's be like, okay, there is a lot of coding involved and there's a lot of time involved in developing that. I have to have this own application and all such things. So I'll just show you today that with a single click, I've just given you a form like interface where you have to just give in your API key. So again, the API key that will be available from here. This is the API key that I'll be using. And then with your whatever you want to do, like, so today I'll be minting a small picture of Jerry, like the Tom and Jerry cartoon that we're all familiar with, right? So I'll just take a Jerry's photo and I'll just mint it with this Power Platform. So heading back to my Power Platform, so let me just share here. Okay, I'll go to the edit option because I've already built the connector, right? So I'll just go to general here because I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of how to build a connector, right? So it is pretty evident, right? So just keep in mind what is the motive, why are you actually building this connector? That is where you have to start from, and that is when your connector will help you and also the people around the globe, right? So this is the motive that I had. Okay, this is something I can do because metaverse is also coming into picture right now, and then NFTs are gaining a huge pace here. Even in India, a couple of celebrities are launching their own NFTs, right? And they're hiring people. So these celebrities can launch their own NFTs in no time with this connector if they are, and there is no code involved. That's the best part. And if you want to add more flexibility here, there's an option for you to add code. I don't know why is it taking a little longer than I expected here. So let me just refresh. Yes. So here you can upload your connector icon, right? This is where you can upload your icon. It must be lesser than 1 MB. And what is the description of your connector? And you can change your icon color here. So this is your HTML code that you use very commonly. And the scheme, there are two types of thing, HTTP and HTTPS. My connector works on HTTPS, so I've chosen HTTPS here. And in the host name, I've given the API, whatever the host thing is, but just don't add HTTPS in front of that. And then this is a base URL. And after this, it will start from slash and it goes and so on and so forth. Right after this, you can go to security tab where I have already given what is the authentication type. So just to show you, there is no authentication, absolutely nothing needed. And there's a basic authentication. Then there's O authentication 2.0, and I've used the API key method. So the API key is the parameter label, and then all the other things are filled here. Then I've just given a summary here. So you can just give a small summary of what your connector does, how it works and all. So easy minting with URL is what I've given, because there are two options here. One is I can mint it with URL. Secondly, I can mint it with a upload option that is still under process right now. So again, what is the request here? So you can just click on import sample, whatever the kind of method you are using, the HTTPS method, get, delete, post, put, head, options, patch, whatever it is, and then the URL and all those other things. So I've given all those things here. And finally, this is what Power Platform has given me out here in the connection place. And the response, the default response is taken here. That will be available with your API. I'll just show the API specification in a while after this. So validation, mine was succeeded because every step here was successful. And if you want to add more flexibility, you can just write your own piece of code here as well. Then finally, let's come to the testing part. So this is where I'll be showing you how exactly it works. But before reaching this, I had a lot of errors that were coming up. So I got this 405 error. I'll just show you one error. This is actually an error. I know why is it coming, but still I'll just show you the error that I have. So I think let me just check the key here. Don't worry, I'll disable this key after this. Mm, yes. So after this chain is polygon, name is this thing, and it is available here. This is my wallet address. So all these are available on the NFT port documentation. I'll just show you that in a while. So I've just given everything else. So I'll just test the operation right now. So this won't work because I know the reason why it's not working, because I've exhausted all the quota. So it is expected to give me out an error here. So how can you debug from these errors? So that is why I wanted to show you this particular operation, because I know it's sure shortly going to give me an error here because this API key is no longer valid. That is the reason. Okay, so yes, see 403, the operation is failed. I told you it will give me out an error in a response. So the status is 403. You'll get a lot of errors. Sometimes it says that it's not able to fetch something. It says bad request. It says something. It just gives you out an error, right? So this is what it is saying, and the response is NOK. And see, the mint limit is exceeded. So usually what happens, you'll get this for my API. This is the response code in the body for even in case of an error, right? So it says, okay, mint limit exceeded on Polygon. So this is mainly because I've exceeded the 100 mint limit. So if I have to just show you here in the overview, it says NFTs minted is 1 out of 100. But this particular API ID that I'm showing you here, this API key, this is an older account that I was using in which my mint limit is totally exceeded. There is zero mint limit right now available on that. And in this case, if I'm going to mint, if I'm going ahead and minting another, if I send another response to that API, then of course it is supposed to give me an error. Right, so the error it is saying is 403. Sometimes it can give you 500 series. I've got 500 series errors as well, in which it said that this particular link is invalid. It is not able to fetch the uh, image that is stored in here. So the reason was I didn't give it in this particular format. I gave it in a Google Drive format. So I had to change the format. This is how you have to refer. So don't get disheartened once you get an error here, because the only thing you have to do is search that error code, and most of the times, in most of the cases, your particular error is encountered by someone and it is solved by someone on the internet. So I referred Stack Overflow for this. My errors were solved from there. I just saw, okay, this is how it happened. But this particular error, at times I went to the Discord. So if you're using, let's say, a particular API, in my case, I used NFT Port API, right? So I just found out a Discord server that they have already in place. And I went to that Discord server. I asked them, see, this is the error that I'm facing, and this is how it is not working. So in case if your errors are not available online, right, then the next option for you is to go ahead and find out the Slack server or the Discord server, because there is a support option on any API that you use, right? Any API, not just this API, any API that you use, there is support option that is already available. So this is how you can decode your particular connector. Now, I would not suggest you to sit and decode it here on Power Platform. So this is my suggestion. You can go to something called as Postman. I think most of you are familiar with this interface right now, right? The Postman interface. So I'll just open the Postman here. Okay, my session is expired. So let me just do, I don't remember my account. Okay, I've just signed in. I'll just open it here. Right. So this is my Postman testing account. This was the first thing that I had used to test any API that was using on the Power Platform. Because if you're not able to understand an API, it is not easy to build a connector. This is what I have learned. Okay, so in the headers, what are the type of headers you must give? What is supposed to be in the body, right? What is supposed to be the authorization of this thing? And what are parameters that you're supposed to pass? So everything is given to you here, right? So for example, this is the body. So I've given this particular thing here. So headers are these, the authorization, what is the type of authorization? The authorization key name is authorization. This is the value, what is the value, and where is the authorization actually directed towards? Not every authorization enters body. Some go into the parameters and some come into the header section as well. So this particular thing is going to the not into query parameters, but it is getting into the header parameter, right? So it is going to the header section. So this is something you have to study. So you have to thoroughly study your API before building it. If in case you're building your own API, then no need, because you will be the master of your API even before consuming it, right? So but I was this API wasn't my own API. So in that case, I was referring here. So this is the method that I'm using. My API is simply doing a post thing. So I'll send a request here. Again, it will give you a response here. It will show you what exactly went wrong, how exactly it went wrong, and everything. Somewhere I felt that Postman debugging is somewhere better. See, again, it gives me out the same thing. But in order to do it here, it is much easier, because if you are doing it here extensively, so first you have to build it out, and sometimes you'll not be sure what exactly is the error. Now, in this case, I'm just building one API, right? So one single connector has just one single API. What if my connector doesn't have one API? What if it has like multiple APIs? So currently I'm working on a connector that has 40 APIs wrapped around. So it is very hard for me to debug in this case. So what I would suggest is API testing platform. For example, Postman is a go-to option for you here. It's better you guys go here, test it out, and then once it is successful here, there are very least chances that this will fail on this platform, right? So you can do that. For example, this particular API that I'll be just showing you, this is still under process. So this has 40 different APIs. This connector has 40 different APIs. So if I have to just go to, I'll just go to definition. See, there are 40 different APIs. How will I know which particular API is failing, which particular API is passing the test? I'm not even sure, right? And see, the response codes are 200 and 500 and so on and so forth. There are 40 different APIs. It is really hard for me in this case. So what I would suggest is you can go here and start debugging it. And then once it is successful here, in one simple click, you can get all this imported here. It is very simple. You have to just go to new custom creator and just import a Postman collection, give a name. I'll just give it as a demo and I'll just import the file, and make sure that your Postman file must be in these versions, version 1, 2.2 or 2.1, not more than that, right? And this is the thing. I'll just import this right? And I'm good to go. So I can just import and continue, but I'm not doing it because my API is already ready, right? I hope this has helped you here, but now let's just see the demonstration of, hey, I want to see what your API actually does, right? So I'll just come to the test option here and I'll just change this API key because this is no longer working. And yes, your connections also must be in place. So I've created a new connection today to test this API for this particular demonstration. Right. I think this was the one, if I'm not wrong. Yes. So let's test the operation now. Rest all thing remains the same, right? So now with this, the particular NFT must be minted in no time. So you saw that I haven't even written a single line of code. I haven't even done even, not even a full stop or nothing. There's literally no typing. It is just a straight form. Okay, which chain do you want to mint it to? Right? There are particular blockchains available: Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, so on and so forth. So I will be choosing Polygon chain here, right? So that is what I've filled. Just type Polygon. That's it, nothing else. And then if you want to see it in this format, so this is also available for you. If you are a coder, you can just do it in this format. But let's just keep it simple and straight for anyone across the globe to use. So the name, whatever you want to keep it. So my photographer is Jerry. So I'll just keep it Jerry here. So just a hello, any description. This is just for testing. So I've given just a hello. And then the file URL. If you want to see what I've kept it in this particular file URL, let me just put it here. It should download, and yes, so this is the pic that I'm using to mint here. Okay, that's the picture that I've used. And this mint to address is by particular wallet. When you're working on blockchain based connectors, this is how you can do it, right? So once I've done minting, so if you want to see whether my transaction is successful or not, it says yes. The status, usually the status code 200 stands for a successful request, a successful API hit, right? So that is what it is saying here. And then you can see the validation is succeeded and all those things. And if you want to see whether it is succeeded, so you can go to this Polygon URL. Since it's a public blockchain, I can view it here. Right, see, it was done 1 minute ago. This actually stands for success. And from this particular thing, it was minted to this particular thing, right? Everything is given here. What is the transaction fee that was incurred, so on and so forth. This is come on, this relay, this is somewhere related to my own connector. But in case if you're working on a different connector, you must be seeing the success message here. Now you might be asking me, how exactly did you get the success message? How were you able to get this done? So that is again very simple. Let me go to the main website, that is the NFT port. So I'll just do documentation. Any website you go, there's a documentation page available for you guys in order to study the API. So for example, my API it comes under easy minting. So easy minting with URL. So this is the API specification page. This is where I studied about this particular API. What does it take? What does it give me out? What does it accept in what is the input that I have to give in order to get this successful output here, right? So this is a request, right? This is the API key. This is how it comes out, and authorization example is 123. What exactly goes into the body? Application is it takes in a JSON format, right? Not everything takes in JSON format. So in case if it is in JSON format, this is the thing. So what are the error codes? If there is an error code, what is the error code, right? So okay or not okay, and then so on. And this is in case of a successful
So
transaction, what?
Shreyan,
Yep.
hello. So sorry for the
Hello.
interruption, but do you mind zooming in a little bit?
Sure, I'll do that. Can you see it now? Is it clear?
Yeah, it's better. Thank you.
Okay. Right. So I'm sorry for that. Okay. So in the body, what kind of a body does it accept, right? What is the response? So for example, this particular API that I'm using here, let's see what is accepted in the body. Just the thing that I just showed you guys 2 minutes ago on this particular platform, right? What does it accept? So for example, the response string, okay, response, is it okay or not okay? Let's see, is it matching? Yes. See, the response is it is okay. This is in case of a successful uh, output, successful hit. So I'm just checking here, 200 in successful hit. So it says okay or not okay. Since it is okay, it is successful, right? So then what is this chain, right? So let's see. Okay, chain is Polygon. It is matching here. Then contract address, right? This is the address. Perfect. Then contract transaction hash. So this is the transaction hash it has written. So everything is given to you here. This is like your manual. Without this, if you don't study this, it is really not possible to build a connector. And trust me, I'm telling you from my experience, I didn't study this. I was like, hey, this is very easy. I can understand it on my own. I went ahead and I started doing all rubbish things on that particular platform, and it was giving me out an error. And then again, I was getting frustrated. I'm like, okay, somewhere I'm going wrong. So let me just start it from scratch again. So that is how again I reached back to this page. I studied this thoroughly. What exactly is going? So what are the allowed values? So as of now, it is taking three different values. So Polygon, Rinkeby, and Ethereum. So I have to give only this. I can't just go and I just can't give Solana. Okay, the Solana must work. No, it won't, because the allowed values are only these three in the case of NFT port, right? Transaction hash, and what is the mint to address? So account to address where the NFT was sent. This is in case of a response. So what does it go into the body? This is a response body. What is the request body? So as you guys know, there is two part, a request and a response. This is how the whole API work. It works on a in case I have to explain an API in layman terms. So let's say you go to a restaurant, right? So there is this waiter who comes to your table, and he asks you, what do you want to have, right? You'll not just directly barge into the kitchen and then say, okay, get me that chicken dish, or get me that salad. No, that's not how it works. You go to a place, you sit there, the waiter comes to your table, he tells you, okay, this is what I'll be this is all that is available, what do you want to have? So you order, let's say, chicken dish, some chicken dish, right? So he goes to that kitchen, he keeps that request there, and in response the chef gives him the desired dish, and he carries it to your table. So this is exactly what an API does. You just can't barge into the kitchen. You just can't barge into the server. I'm like, hey, this is what you have to do. No, this is the available variety that we have. There is nothing more than this, right? So if you go to a place where there is no barbecue, and I'm like, see, I need this barbecue at any cost. He's like, we don't have it, sir. But here, if you give Solana, it will just tell you, no, this there is, it's not okay, right? That's how it interacts with you. So let's see what should you tell the waiter, right? So you should tell him what is the chain that is supposed to be, what is the name, right? What is the name of your thing, and there's a limit on that, and it is given here, and there's a description, what is, describe it in your own words, and the file URL that is, again, there's a particular constraint. This is how it must be. You just can't go to the waiter and like, hey bro, this is how it should be. No, you have to talk to them with a particular etiquette, right? There's a public etiquette that we'll have to follow. So that is how it is here. You have to follow these things. And then mint to address, which exactly the address that you have to mint it to. So there's a response example. If you want to just give it in a C# format, right? HTTP client. So this is how you can do. You can just copy paste this whole thing. I just showed you what do you say, a code interface, right? This is the code preview. You can just go and paste it here, right? If you want a coded format, but I wouldn't be doing that. And here again, authorization is the token that I gave, and then the body, the request body, right? This is how you have to study a particular API. Every API has its own specification. For example, if I go here, yes, so if I have to do this, I can just copy paste and put it there. Right? This is have exactly an API key. Any API you're building, so just go ahead and find what are the specifications. In case if you're writing your own code, right, know what your code is doing, right? So after that, it will be a cakewalk for you guys to do it here, right? To do it on the Power Platform. It will just take hardly, I guess, 5 minutes. It won't even take 5 minutes for you to build this thing. And then after this, so this is all the way till building. Now, if you want to publish it under, there are a lot of publishing programs. So if you want to do that, then you have to go to GitHub, submit your own proposal. I think I can just share you the proposal that I have. So that was all about building. So once I tested it successfully, everything is working. So I can go to your repositories. Okay, this is the public thing. You can find it on the Learn or even on the Microsoft documentation, right? Microsoft says Power Platform connectors, and there are a lot of people who are working on this. So bad request and then bug, or if there's a new proposal. So mine is a new proposal. When I was doing it, was this 24 custom connector. I'm not exactly sure why I'm not able to find it here, but you can find your, oh, sorry, not the issues, my bad. Pull request. Sorry for that. So proposal, see there is a proposal for PayPal independent publisher. This is how we can create, you can just create a pull request to this particular repository and just put it, okay, it is in validation phase, new, it's independent. So mine is somewhere here, yeah, see, NFTMania, this is mine, right? This is what I had given. So I've added a student tag as well in this, and whatever you want to do, review is required. It is still undergoing the thing, and what exactly must be there in your request. So I'll just show you that again. Okay. Let me just find it. So yeah, see, this is the proposal that I'd given. So I just briefly describe what the proposal is all about. But once it is finally done, right? Once it is finally done, you have to just give three things. So I'll just show you any random connector here. For example, uh, something here. Okay. So there are three things. One is a readme.file. This is exactly for the user to understand what exactly goes in the way I just explained you, right? So what are the do's and don'ts? What are the known issues? What are the prerequisites? For example, the prerequisite to use my connector would be a simple account on NFT port and your particular API key. That would be the prerequisite to use my particular connector. And who's the publisher? And so on and so forth, all the readmes, whatever you want to share it to the user, right? And give as much as details that you can provide with. And this API swagger.json file, this is somewhere, you can get it from this Power Platform. You can go back here, you can just go back here and just click on download, you'll get that particular file. And after that, what else is here? API properties of JSON. This is a very simple file, you can write it on your own. What is the API, what is the kind of authentication that you're using, right? You can give that here, is it true or false, everything, and then uh, template ID, so on and so forth. It's kind of self-explanatory file. You have to just give it to and then name it as API properties.json, and then the readme. Once these three things are over, you can again create a pull request once your proposal is accepted, right? Your proposal, once it is accepted, start working on it and then create a pull request with these three files in it again. So once this is successfully tested out, your API, your connector will be moved on to the next phase. So this is how you work on with your connector, right from building it from scratch, finding the problem statement, why you should be using it, and all the way till publishing it. So these are the steps that I followed. And of course, I told you what are the blockers that I had. I consulted a few of my seniors to get to know what exactly should I do in case I'm stuck here, and many more just such things. And finally, a product was rolled out, and then it is right there in front of you all. So currently, it's in the path of getting certified. So looking forward to that. Once that is certified, you can use it on Logic apps, you can use it on Power Platform, you can use it on any of these applications. Not just for me. Now it is, this problem can be tackled by people across the globe. Any organization is as well free to use this thing and automate their own particular processes. So with that, this is all that I had to share about my experience of working on Power Platform. And yes, over to you, Yulia.
Amazing, amazing. That was great, Shreyan. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I think I'm a little shocked to hear that you're working on a connector utilizing up to 40 APIs. I'm more curious on how that experience is for you. I mean, how long is it actually taking you?
Well, actually, the connector is almost ready, but there is just one feature that I'm stuck with. Again, a blocker, but it is almost on the verge of getting clear. So once that is done, probably I will be providing it in the same connector as an update. So the first connector will just have one option of minting, but the second will be having a full fledged of, uploading files to IPFS and everything. So again, when I was considering this connector, I was worried whether the 40 APIs load can be handled by the Power Platform, but I was just amazed by the way Power Platform just handled it. In case it is
Sorry, am I the only one who lost?
really no drop.
Oh, sorry, I think we lost you for like 10 seconds or so.
I'm sorry. Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just amazed.
Sorry, sorry, I think
For okay,
your
give me just
mic is just breaking.
Am I audible now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I was just working on this 40 APIs thing right now. So the first point was whether Power Platform can handle this load, or whether this connector can bear the load of 40 different APIs, because all these are something, firstly, they're related to Web3. So there was a doubt that whether it will work or not. And the second doubt was whether it will bear the load or not. So I was really amazed by the way that the 40 APIs were performing, and then they were performing really smooth, and everything is going as per plan. So if it is going in the same pace, so probably by this month end, I'll be giving it out as an update for the particular connector that I've done. So this is one of the best part again. So it is not that I have to create a new connector. I can just update it to the same PR that I'm doing, and it will be added as an update to that. So yeah, really looking forward. There were a lot of blockers. As I told, I was really having this trouble when I was working that, okay, there were a couple of errors which I was not able to debug. So then again had to move back to Postman, go back to ground one, and then check, okay, this particular API is missing this value. So this is where it is going wrong. Okay, I'll fix that. So this was a kind of a loop that I followed. So testing and again going back to Power Platform, test and again go back, right? So finally it came to a point where all the 40 were working super fine right now. And there is just one feature that I'm yet to add to this, an upload option. So once that is done, I guess it is on the way of getting again certified.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Wishing you all the best. So maybe just one question for me before I hand it over to anyone who might have any question for you. You've mentioned that you're working with up to 40 different APIs. So I'm just curious, and I would like to ask this on behalf of everyone who is working on this connector hackathon. Is there any limit regarding the kind of services you can try to build connectors for? So when you're building connectors, what can you access and what can't you access?
Okay, so starting with this, initially I was scared whether the Web 3.0 connectors. I'll just take my example. I don't think there is a limit on this, because even I'm not sure. The To the point where I've explored, there were zero limitations from the Power Platform side or the connector side. Only limit that I came across here is the versions. So we'll have to be really sure whether this particular version is accepted in the connector building area or not, right? So for example, I just showed a thing of Postman. So Postman has many versions, but you can just use the version 2.2.1 only till version 2.1. If we give a version higher than that, then there is a very greater chance that it will just collapse the whole connectors. So apart from this, there is no such criteria where it is leading you to a compulsion that, okay, just stop it here, you can't use it anymore. So there is no compulsion like that. And again, that is something that I really enjoyed, because when I was working on Web 3.0, I was really scared. Okay, Microsoft might not allow to do this particular experiment here, but I was really happy when it came out to be a colorful result, right? So it just made me work there. Even these APIs were working. So again, if anyone here is up for building such connectors, and if you want to do this crazy experiments, then definitely go ahead and try it out, because Power Platform is going to give you all the power here. As it says, it gives you all the power. But again, be careful with the version. So version is something that you'll have to really keep in mind. If you're messing up with the versions, then of course you'll have a tough time dealing with the Power Platform. So that is the only thing. I hope I've answered the question here.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I've also learned quite a lot from you, from your experience, especially with the errors. So hopefully everyone who's participating, we can sort of create a cheat sheet for the kind of errors that we get, just to try and help each other. So I will hand it over to anyone who might have any question. I know we are past time, but kindly come off mute in case you have any question for our guest speaker today. It could be anything. So this is your time. Feel free to ask any question.
Yes, guys, shoot your questions.
Hello. I had a question. I've come late. I thought the meeting was 7, but it's okay. I was just waiting for 7. Yes, so that we're
Okay.
ending. Okay. I had a question on how these power apps work. Maybe you did a demo before I was not here, because my question aims at when you have deployed the is it power up, or that let's say the power up. how do you assess as a user, or how do the other developers come to assess that the power up? Is it online via URL, or they are going to install it in their machines? How do you assess the end product after you have immediately, or you are done with creating the connectors and what? Yeah.
Okay. Do you mean how do they utilize the connector? Is that what you were asking for?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the Power Platform connectors, whichever are available here. So as I just told, so you can, the main purpose of Power Platform, actually Power Platform has five main things, right? So Power BI, Power Apps, and then there are other services as well. So let's say I use Power Apps, for example. So I can build my own applications, the mobile applications in no time. So if I have to just show you an application, if I have it ready here, so I will just show it. Apps, yes. So I'll just show a random application that is built. Okay, so this is a section called apps where you can build your own application. For example, this was something I built 10 months ago. So now let's say I'm creating a functionality. So let's say on a click of a button, okay, I want to mint an NFT. That is the problem. Okay, let me just see. This connection is expired. Okay, I'll just take any random application, fruits. It is there, allow. Okay, so this is a simple application that I've built. So basically what this does is it just uh, lets you view, let's say, a banana, an apple, a cherry, dates, earth, or anything in MR. So right on the click of this button, let's say if I have to uh, open my camera in the backend and then just keep it on my table and then just view an apple on my table. Right, so I have to write a long piece of code. You must be familiar. So for this button, I have to just put a simple thing. Or in case of a website, let's say I have to redirect it to a different link from let's say Teams, I have to redirect it to Internet Explorer, for example. So there is a linking that we do here. So in case if you want to do that here, or if you want to use any service, for example, so on the click of this button, let's say imaginary, I just want to mint an NFT. So now what it happens once I click this, there's a background which works here. If I'll just see if I'm able to show you that. I want to just edit this particular application. Is there an edit option? Yes, edit. Right. So I'll just show you how I've built this application. So that is the simple application. Now, if I have to do it, let us just download. So basically, this will be available to you as a module. So you have to just drag and drop it and then place the connections in place. It is just a simple interface where you can just drag my connector when it is uploaded, when it is ready. You can just drag it here. So I just want to do that. Yeah. For example, I have just dragged this thing. So you can see, right? I've just dragged it from a drop down here. Similarly, you can drag a connector that you have built and you can just place it here and you can configure it here in the right hand side, right? So you can see what exactly does view in MR do. So this is a module that is already available. But in case I don't want to keep this module, I want to keep my connector here. So you can do that as well. So this is how your users will be able to utilize your connector. So once they do this, all they have to do is configure, let's say the authentication key, the thing that I showed you before just a while ago in the custom connectors. The connector that I showed you a while ago, right? So I just fill that fancy form there. So the same thing will be available to you here. So fill that form and just keep it ready. So let's say your user just has to fill the polygon thing. So which chain does he want to maintain? The rest everything is ready there. Or let's say the chain is by default, the picture is something the user has to upload. So you can just put an upload option here. So or the link option, the source, right? So for example, the source here is coming from this place. So if you want to change it here, so you can change it here. It shows you this place. This is how you can uh, utilize your connector in your any application. So the application can be either built on Power Apps or you can, if you are creating something for automation, then on Azure, there is something called as a logic app. So these connectors are also available there. So this is how you utilize your connector once it is ready and up for the users to use. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, you have. So my last question was, are they going to, they must have the Power Apps app in their phone so that now they can access the app itself. Is that true?
Right. Yes.
All right.
So this won't be available on Google Play Store or Apple iPhone Store or something like that. But it should be used within this Power Apps. So you can get it from the Play Store or on the Apple iStore, and then your application works on that.
Right. Perfect.
Okay, great question, Jean. So I've also shared another use case of how you can use a connector from a Power App. So this is how you can probably pull data from from Twitter using the Twitter connector. So I've just share that on chat for you. You can have a look. So we have one question from Evans, and he's asking, were you able to consume the API on an app you made with Power Apps platform? So that's the question Evans was asking.
Yeah, I mean, I can just utilize this in the current scenario. It won't be accessible to anyone across the globe. It will be just within the organization that I'm currently in, because it is still on the process of certification. So as of now, it is working for me within the organization, but once it gets certified, I'll be able to just use it like what Yulia just shared. So something of that sort, or on the Power Apps, or on any other automation tool for that in that case. So I can use it in that. As of now, it is just available within the organization. And since I've not shared it within the organization, it's just available for me. So yes, I can use that to whatever I just showed you right now. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So Evans, I hope that has answered your question. So simply put, once you create your connector, you can use it in your own solutions. But if you want it to be globally available, then you now need to have it certified, just similar to what Shreyan is currently going through. So I don't know if you have any other burning question before we wrap up. If we don't have any questions, I'm going to briefly share just an update and I think one final announcement for the next steps. Okay, so let me just share my screen briefly. We'll be done in the next 2 minutes. Don't worry, guys. Yep, there's someone who was asking where do we get the recordings? So this is the website for the program. I know most of you have had a look at this. So if you want to access some additional resources on what we are doing each and every week, you can visit this roadmap page. So I know I had shared these links, but I'll also have it on chat again. So today we had, today's September 19th, we had this office hour, which was initially supposed to just be a Q&A session, but we were lucky enough to have one of the current independent publishers in progress join us for this session. So for tomorrow and Wednesday, would leave it to you guys to now familiarize yourself with the platform. I think Shreyan has shared so much about the kind of errors you would encounter. So I would advise and recommend start building, even if it's just small custom connectors, to see if you're familiar with the platform, see how it works for you. And then on Thursday, and this is 7 p.m. Sorry, Charles or Jean, I don't know. So sorry for that time. We had to bring it up an hour earlier because of to accommodate Shreyan's time zone, because he's in India and it's pretty late for him. So we will not have had it later. But on Thursday at 7 p.m. EAT, we're going to meet for a session on how you validate your connector. So I know we've been told that you don't submit a connector which is not working. So we'll have a session that will show you exactly what you need to do to validate your connector and ensure it works well. Then immediately after that session, we will now open it up for you guys to start submitting your proposals. So the proposals of the connectors that you would want to work on for this particular hackathon. So I know it has been touched briefly on how you can do that on GitHub, but we'll do that on Thursday again. So I would advise those that have joined late, we will share the recording and please just have a look, and there's a lot that has been shared. So that is it. After that, now we'll just be ready to start building on our connectors. So visit the roadmap for that. Then in terms of the past sessions we've had, if you can visit the blog page at the top here. So the first blog we posted was Build a Connector Live. So this is the session we had last Wednesday. This is a summary, and you can see we have a small YouTube icon here. So this will give you the recording to this particular session. You can revisit it. And then on Friday, we also had a part 2 on building and consuming a connector directly from our Power App. So that session was also recorded, and the recording is available on YouTube as well. So this is my response to the question on where the recordings are. So the recording for this session will be available tomorrow on this platform as a blog with a summary and the recording, the link to the recording. So also be on the lookout for that. So that's all I had to share. So we will definitely keep having our conversations on the GitHub forum. In case of any questions, let us know. So for tomorrow, we won't meet. Wednesday as well, we won't meet, but you can always have the discussions anytime on GitHub. So ideally, we're giving you this time to familiarize yourself with all that is needed to be done. You can also borrow from the tips that Shreyan has shared. I believe there's a lot that you can actually just be familiar with. Then once we kick off on working on the connectors, hope everyone will have a great time and enjoy what they build. So that's all from me. I don't know, Shreyan, if you have something else to share before we wind up.
No, just all the best, guys. Just looking forward to see your crazy ideas coming to life. Yes, so that's all from my side.
Awesome, and thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. So I see Yusuf has his hand raised, so probably he has a question.
Okay, thank you very much, Julia and Fernandes. This is a great, meaningful hackathon that I've been participating in. This building the custom connector is very eye-opener. And I want to ask that how can we join a team to build the connector together?
Okay, great. That's a great question. So let me take it. So week 3, that is the coming week. On Monday, that is the official day for you to submit your connector proposal. So once you do that, you'll be able to see if someone has an idea. So if you are, for example, if you wanted to build a custom connector for the Daraja API, for example, then you see someone that has submitted that as a proposal, you can directly reach out to them and request to work on the connector together. So that is the framework that we're using for the team participation. So remember, you can work on a connector either individually or in pairs. So the reason why we actually have that step to have you guys submit the proposals is to avoid a case where we have 2 people working on the same connector. So once you're able to see what someone has submitted, and it's a connector that you also wanted to work on, you can directly reach out to them and propose that you can work jointly on that connector. The other way is that we've been having the conversations on the GitHub forum, so you can just easily reach out to someone and say, hey, can we pair up and brainstorm on a connector that we can work together? So that is the only current framework we have. That's why we have the GitHub communication platform, so that you're able to interact with everyone else who is part of this program, and you can now collaborate on a connector. So I hope I've answered your question.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and there's nothing stopping you from actually reaching out as early as now. If you'd want to just have earlier conversations with someone you can work with, you can definitely contact them as early as now. But for the submissions, we'll probably start getting them as from next week. Once we share exactly, since this is still a hackathon, we need to have some winners. So we'll also share more about what we'll be looking for exactly for the connectors that you submit in this hackathon. But yeah, that's basically the long answer to your question. So I know we are way past time, so I'm just going to now stop the recording. I'm going to thank you all so much.